Hi guys, welcome back to Podcast and Chill. I'm Gwen.
And I'm Leo.
Leo, tell me, have you ever felt that nagging self-doubt? When you're trying to speak a foreign language, like the words are in your head but they're playing hide and seek?
Oh, Gwen, self-doubt is my middle name when it comes to speaking a foreign language. And I bet a lot of our listeners out there are nodding along right now.
Right? You're trying to keep up with a native speaker, your mind's racing to translate, or you stumble over a pronunciation.
And then the big question hits, why am I not fluent yet? It makes you question your effort, your intelligence, everything.
But what if I told you that this very expectation of achieving fluency might actually be sabotaging your progress?
Wait, what? So fluency is the villain?
It sounds counterintuitive, I know. But even Steve Kaufman, a polyglot who's learned 30 languages, advises against it. Don't aspire to fluency.
That sounds insane.
What's even more insane is that his sustainable learning approach doesn't ask you to memorize vocabulary or understand every conversation 100%. To get good at it,
Now you have my full attention.
so stick around, folks. Today we're uncovering the psychology of fluency and why chasing it might be holding you back.
This might just completely change how you approach learning not just English, but any language. As a language learner myself, I've been wondering why people get so caught up with being perfect or sounding like a native speaker.
Great question, Leo. What you're talking about is that all or nothing mindset.
What's up with that anyway? Why do we treat language learning like it's all or nothing?
That kind of thinking usually comes from a few places.
Like where?
Let's start with school.
Really? How so?
Think about it, Leo. From a young age, we're trained to think in terms of scores and grades.
Ugh, I know what you mean. You either get an A or you don't. You're either good at English or you're not.
Yep, there's very little room for the messy middle. Progress that doesn't show up on a report card gets ignored.
I feel that in my bones. It's like school taught me that if you're not the best, you're basically a potato.
Yeah. Add to that, people compare themselves to others who speak that language really well.
Yeah, it's so easy to feel like you're not good enough just because someone else sounds fluent.
But who knows what it took for them to get there? Comparing your day 1 to someone else's year 5 is just not fair.
Wait, that's literally something I said in the previous episode?
I know. I liked it so much I stole it. Anyway, another big part of the problem? Perfectionism.
How does that play in?
Perfectionism makes you set crazy high expectations, leading to a constant dread of falling short in the eyes of others.
Ugh, now I know exactly where that fear of being judged comes from. From me.
Yeah, you've always been an almost perfectionist.
Guilty as charged.
Wanting to be fluent is totally fine, but expecting to be fluent like a native speaker? That's not realistic,
Why not?
because there's no one native version of English. People speak it all over the world with different accents, slang, and styles.
Right. A Londoner doesn't sound like someone from New York or Sydney or Dublin.
And on top of that, language keeps changing. What was correct 20 years ago might sound outdated today.
Preach. New slang, new phrases, and even grammar rules shift. It's like trying to hit a moving target.
Plus, even native speakers mess up. They break grammar rules all the time without realizing it.
For real. Native speakers use slang and make grammar mistakes, and nobody cares.
So if they don't speak perfectly, why do we expect you to? Setting that kind of standard is just asking for burnout.
But if I don't aim high, I worry I'll lose motivation.
Effort matters, of course, but chasing perfection can do more harm than good.
Like what?
For starters, it creates a ton of stress and makes you terrified of messing up.
Yeah, every sentence starts to feel like some kind of performance.
Yeah. Then you get anxious, second-guess yourself, and stop taking risks.
Ugh, the curse of being a perfectionist.
Sounds familiar.
Been there, done that. I've spent hours replaying awkward conversations in my head, cringing at every little mistake. It's exhausting.
And that stress, it can make people quit early.
No lie, if you feel like you'll never reach the native level, what's the point, right?
It's like signing up for a marathon and being told you need to finish in under 2 hours on your first run.
I'd give up before mile 1.
And when you chase that impossible standard, you might give up early, feel anxious all the time, or miss the joy of small wins.
You're right, we're so busy chasing this perfect fluency that we don't even notice the real progress.
Like understanding a podcast or having a conversation.
Or just ordering a coffee without panicking.
Yeah, this obsession with fluency really blinds people to all the little wins along the way. Like Steve Kaufman says, don't aspire to fluency.
There you go, quoting that polyglot again.
I'll keep quoting him until it clicks. Fluency is a trap, Leo?
I mean, it's kind of ironic coming from a guy who speaks, 30 languages?
Right? It sounds totally backward at first.
Honestly, it sounds wrong. Why would someone discourage learners like that?
That's what most people think. But Steve's idea isn't about giving up.
So, what's it about?
It's about changing what you're aiming for.
Now I'm curious.
He believes that the obsession with perfect fluency actually blocks progress.
Oh yeah, we just talked about that. We're used to thinking fluency means speaking exactly like a native. No mistakes, perfect accent, instant understanding.
Correct. But the truth is that kind of fluency doesn't exist. Even native speakers mess up. They forget words, mix up grammar, or say like 5 times in one sentence.
No cap.
Steve says the real problem is the pressure to be as good as a native. That mindset wrecks people.
I mean, I kinda do want to be that good though.
And that's where the trap is. Let me give you Steve's metaphor.
Oh, tell me.
He compares language learning to climbing a mountain.
How are they relevant?
Picture this. You're staring at the summit, the top, where you're fluent, confident, and smooth as a native.
Yeah, sounds like the dream.
But there lies a problem.
What's it?
If all you focus on is that peak, you start thinking, well, if I can't get all the way up there, why bother even starting?
Guilty. I've totally had that thought. Like, if I'm not gonna get there fast, what's the point?
That's the trap. You forget that climbing the mountain means taking many small steps.
So if you only look at the peak, the climb feels impossible, and you might give up halfway.
Or worse, you don't even bother starting.
I hate when it happens, but I don't get why.
It's very simple, Leo. So people who start with high expectations, like being fluent in a language, think they can master it overnight.
That's right.
However, then the reality hits. The actual learning experience doesn't match the idealized image they had in their mind.
Yeah. They'll make mistakes, misunderstand things, struggle to express complex ideas, and realize that sounding native is incredibly difficult.
And when reality doesn't match the fantasy, people start feeling frustrated and defeated, like they're not good enough.
I've been there. That spiral of, why can't I get this right? And maybe I'm just not cut out for this.
Yeah. And this can manifest as anxiety, self-criticism, and a sense of hopelessness.
And how does the story end?
Usually, people become so disheartened that they abandon their efforts altogether, without realizing the problem was with the expectation they set, not their actual ability.
I think I've seen this film before. In fact, I was the main character.
You see? This all-or-nothing mindset can do more harm than good.
Man, I wish everyone could snap out of that mindset more easily.
Honestly, it's not as hard as you think.
Really? What's the secret?
It all comes down to Steve Kaufman's 4 principles.
Lay them on me.
We'll get to that in a bit. But first, let's talk about how to know if you can actually speak a language. Good point. I mean, if I'm not fluent, how do I know a native speaker can understand me?
How do you even measure that?
Our man Steve has a solid answer for that.
He seems to have the answer for everything, huh? Hit me with it.
In one of his YouTube videos, he said, and I quote, "If the only criterion of success in language learning is to become fluent, most language learners are failures."
Wow, that's a tough truth. So by that standard, almost nobody succeeds?
Wait, there's more. He followed it up with, "And I don't believe they are failures."
Ooh, okay. Glad he said that. Coming from a guy who speaks, 30 languages? That means something.
Well, actually, Steve is honest about his own experience. He admits he isn't fluent in all of them.
Really? That's surprising.
Yup. He says some languages he can only read, others he just kinda understands when he hears them.
I always imagined polyglots being perfect at every language they touch.
That's the myth. But Steve sees every bit of progress, big or small, as a win.
That's actually really encouraging.
Yeah, let me quote him one more time. "A language is one of those things that is worth learning, even imperfectly."
I love that. So even if I can't hold a full conversation, just understanding a bit or reading a short article, that still counts?
Absolutely. Success isn't only about native level fluency. It's about the progress you make and the skills you keep.
So if chasing perfect fluency is a trap, what should I be focusing on?
Just focus on getting a little better every day. That's it.
So, instead of dreaming about being fluent in 3 months, I should dream smaller.
Yep, dream doable.
Okay, but how small are we talking?
Small enough that you don't feel overwhelmed.
Like what?
Like, did you understand more of today's video than yesterday's?
Oh yeah, I can work with that kind of small.
Or even as tiny as learning 2 or 3 new words.
Or if I'm feeling ambitious, maybe I read a short story in my target language.
As long as you're recognizing and celebrating those little wins, you're on the right track.
It's like building a puzzle, piece by piece, day by day.
Nice analogy.
I swear this change of mindset would take the pressure off the Everest-sized mountain and turn it into a daily stroll.
And hey, who doesn't love a daily stroll?
True, though maybe we need a little magic to keep the stroll going.
Luckily, Steve Kaufman has these 4 solid principles for actually sticking with language learning long term.
Spill the linguistic tea, Gwen.
The first one is to get lots of exposure to the language, instead of trying to memorize vocabulary.
Oh, I know why it helps. The exposure gets us to see language in context, and learning with context helps us memorize better.
That's right. Plus, it reduces the stress we often get from drilling word lists.
And the boredom of flashcards, the fastest way to make language learning feel like a chore.
For sure. The second principle is to let go of the need to understand everything.
How does that help, though?
Imagine you're watching a movie, but you pause every 2 seconds to look up a word. Super frustrating, right?
It is.
So the idea is just to watch it, get the gist, then maybe watch it again to catch more. Steve practices this by listening to videos with subtitles multiple times.
Got it. Don't sweat the details. Just keep going. How about the third principle?
Choose content you genuinely enjoy, not just content that's standard.
Oh, I love that. When I started French, I stuck with textbook stuff at first, and man, I was dying inside.
I know. Textbooks might be structured, but they're often irrelevant to your real life. Meanwhile, content you enjoy, that's what keeps you coming back.
So if you're into food, watch cooking shows in English. If you're into soccer, find match commentary. Into movies, watch them with English subs.
So true. And the final principle? We actually touched on it already.
Oh, what's that?
A language is one of those things that is worth learning, even imperfectly.
Man, that one really hits. It's such a relief to know I don't have to be flawless to be successful.
Yeah. You're allowed to make mistakes and still be proud of your progress.
So, folks, keep those 4 in your back pocket, and no matter what language you're learning, you're fine.
So, to sum it all up, instead of obsessing over some elusive idea of fluency, choose consistent daily progress.
And if today you feel like you didn't speak smoothly, or you didn't catch every word, or your writing wasn't perfect,
it's perfectly fine.
you're still learning. You're still moving forward.
And last but not least, whatever you have learned in those languages is something that you have and no one can take away from you.
That's a mic drop moment right there, Gwen.
I can't even take the credit. That's another gem from Steve Kaufman.
Of course it is. You quote him like he's your personal language learning guru.
I mean, he kind of is.
Fair enough. All right, folks. If you're listening or watching, keep going. Progress is progress.
What's one small win you had today with English? Tell us in the comment section below.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who might be struggling with their English journey.
Thanks for tuning in today. We'll catch you next time.